Immigrants are regularly scapegoated in a fashion that strains credulity, and yet unscrupulous people will pounce at the opportunity to savage the stranger because the tycoon from Mar-a-Lago forwarded nonsense. He swallowed whole from the social media without a shred of evidence about Haitians eating dogs, cats, geese in Springfield, Ohio. Who the hell does he think he is?
Black pastors have always played a major role in shaping the culture and the environment and the atmosphere in the black community. They were the ones that were the conscience of the black community, especially during the days of civil rights, during the days of segregation, during the days of Jim Crow. It was the black pastor that was the beacon of light in the black community. It was the black pastor who was that source of moral clarity in the eyes of the community. Now, we may not have known all the things they were doing behind the scenes, but for the most part, it was the black pastor. That person was the one that people reverenced. They had respect for the black pastor. If someone was doing something, if they were shooting dice or doing some stuff on the side and the black pastor came walking down the sidewalk, those people would put those dice in their pocket. They would stand up and they would respect that pastor. Well, those days are gone. When the black church decided to partner up with the Democratic Party and partner up with the government to exchange political power for the truth of the gospel, the respect for the black pastor ceased to be. And it's because black pastors are paid to manipulate and deceive the community to vote for the Democratic Party. That's why I call them church plants. I mean, you have these types of things that happen all the time with black preachers and black organizations, such as Souls to the Polls.
Today, the Waco NAACP held the National Souls to the Polls event, and Nikki Lattarulo was there and learned why this tradition means even more this year.
As the NAACP says, we are done with dying. We are going to take back our power, and our power is our vote.
The Souls to the Polls event has taken place across the U.S. for decades now as a community-wide effort to get low-income and elderly people to come out and vote.
People leave church and come and vote as a group. It's a cultural, it's a historical sort of tradition.
Souls to the Polls takes place on the Sunday of early voting, and today Waco's NAACP president, Dr. Peaches Henry, said she was blown away by the turnout.
It just lets me know that our community is very much engaged in the election this year, and that people are very engaged in voting, and that they're going to come out and do so.
She went on to stress the importance of this year's election, especially for the African American community.
We are done dying. We are going to vote and support candidates who support our lives.
And that was back in 2020 when COVID was scaring people. But notice that she says we're done dying. Does she ever say that to the unborn children who die at the hands of their own mothers? And that the policies that she supports accelerates that behavior, accelerates those decisions in the black community? As a matter of fact, I just heard that a judge in Georgia overturned their heartbeat law, and now abortions can be done up until the 20th week in Georgia. Do you know who is impacted the most by that decision? Black babies, the black community. But you wouldn't hear them talking about that. It's all about reproductive justice. And that's what you hear when you go to a traditional black church, like this pastor right here.
Immigrants are regularly scapegoated in a fashion that strains credulity, and yet unscrupulous people will pounce at the opportunity to savage the stranger because the tycoon from Mar-a-Lago forwarded nonsense. He swallowed whole from the social media without a shred of evidence about Haitians eating dogs, cats, geese in Springfield, Ohio. Who the hell does he think he is? Meanwhile, The young, vigorous, brilliant, and exceptionally experienced candidate on the Democratic side has managed to unite her party behind her. To lure the support of anxious and country-loving Republicans and to gradually build a timorous lead in the polls. I know the old song. Politics has no place in the church. Keep it out of there. There's a division between church and state. Shut up. Don't talk about it. People in church need to be concerned about going to kingdom come. Not the kingdom here. They should be searching for the pie that's in the sky. Not for their fair share here. You got the wrong preacher if that's what you want.
You have to understand something. These black pastors are paid to deceive and manipulate you. That's how they get their money. And the sound may be a little low. It's not me, it's the recording of this video that makes the sound a little low.
George Barna said less than 4% of people that attend church regularly, from the pulpit to the usher, are truly born again. They're church members, they're pastors, they're ushers, they all have all kinds of titles, but it's just religion to them. And this is why it is so easy for them to move away from the realities of our scriptures. And so you see, it is indeed my heart's desire for our people and for people of color. Oh, by the way, just in case you're wondering, white is a color also. If you don't believe me, check your crayon box. White is a color also. But unfortunately, and so very often, the very people that are in our churches, especially the leadership, and unfortunately it is so sad to think about those under their tutelage that are being consistently misled, consistently deceived. Do you know why abortion clinics are primarily in our communities? Because Margaret Sanger told the black preachers that I will pay you to promote abortion in your church. And guess what the black preacher said? Let me paraphrase. For money? Yeah, we'll do it. And that is why we have so many abortion clinics in our communities. I read a report about New York, how high the abortion rate is. It's almost unfathomable that you would think that they abort almost more babies than are born. In our communities primarily. Democratic Party, ever since its inception and the time that we began to become noticeable in this society, has always engineered plans to enslave us in chains in one form or the other. One of the reasons that I wrote the book, 8 Reasons Why I'm No Longer a Democrat, is because my people have been continuously deceived, lied to, manipulated, and controlled by entities that have changed their strategies from enslavement with chains to chains of inadequate academics, chains of economic shortfalls, chains of mental enslavement caused by a pervasive lack of proper emphasis on education throughout our communities. But then I went to the black churches because, again, the intent was for our young people to be inspired with academics. And so I went to the black preachers and pastors in the church in our area. And I explained to them my objective, and I explained to them who I was inviting. And as soon as I said Dr. Ben Carson, a wall came up. And one of them even told me, no, he said, I'm going to tell you, Pinckney, you know how preachers talk. I'm going to tell you, Pink, now he talked against Barack Obama. These are people that our community has been deceived into looking up to. Preachers who are supposed to teach the whole counsel of the Lord are deceiving the people. Why? Well, the biggest reason is because they're Democrats. And why are they Democrats? I'm going to tell you why they're Democrats. They're Democrats because they love the idea of getting what they call free money. That's their whole thing.
That's why I call them church plants. They are the paraministry of the Democratic Party in the black community to keep the black community voting for the Democratic Party, to keep the black community deceived and misled as to the truth. They don't preach the gospel of Jesus Christ. They preach the social gospel, or they preach the agenda and the plans of the Democratic Party. They intentionally deceive and mislead their members in order to continue to receive that free money, that kickback that comes from the white liberal puppet masters. That's why you hear them talk about Kamala Harris the way that they do. That's why you hear them not make a big fuss about the illegal immigrants that are coming in, taking the jobs from black people, black jobs, overrunning communities that are majority black. That's why you don't hear them talking much about abortion and the impact it has on the black community. That's why you don't hear them talking much about the mutilation of children. That's why you don't hear them talking much about parents losing it. That's why you don't hear them talking much about the destruction of the black family, because they get paid not to do that. So that's why I call them church plants, because their sole purpose is to keep black people in a permanent state of victimhood. Well, we're not victims. We are empowered for greatness.